What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's really moving, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is down 3.48%, 871 the low, 908 the high. So you're seeing a lot of volatility, and some of that is stemming from data points. But most of this red in the broader market is because of companies unveiling their earnings. Not even with them missing on their earnings, it's just the fact that it's not really hitting Wall Street's expectations. And plus, future guidance is a very big deal that a lot of companies seem to be gray on because of tariffs. So I think a lot of that is weighing on the broader market. But even with SoundHound, you are seeing kind of low volume. So 9.8 million shares being traded, 22.04 is the average. And that's also visible through these kind of points. So this is all the transactions on the dark pool above $100,000. So relatively quiet stuff, even on here for the secondary market, kind of low. So most likely institutions are just waiting for SoundHound's upcoming earnings. And in case you do not know, that is slated for the 8th. And so that's going to be done after hours. Current estimate is -6 cents for earnings per share, 30.38 million for revenue. And then earnings per share revisions over the last 90 days, you have 2 positive and 1 negative. So at the end of the day, I think is going to be their future guidance. That's going to be the make it or break it point for SoundHound, as what I kind of mentioned in my video over the weekend, where I went over kind of all the Cole's notes and things that you need to be aware of. But the market is placing a huge importance on future guidance. And so I think in SoundHound's case, that's going to be a big one. But there's a lot of things for them to essentially talk on, especially with Tencent. I think that could be a very good transition point for them to give good future guidance. But again, management has to be on the ball and actually disclose that. But another thing that should be coming out soon is also the kind of, because they did have a shareholder meeting on April the 28th. So this one right here was a big one that I did not like at all when they wanted to switch to be a Delaware corporation, because that is a very big deal. So as far as the actual results, they should have submitted it already. Probably at Monday, most likely. But nonetheless, though, that should be coming out in the next couple of trading days. So just be somewhat aware of that. And if potentially 6 was passed, then I do still see that as a kind of a red flag, because I did mention that. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I absolutely hated that, hated seeing that, because I've only seen companies want to do that for kind of not the best interest of shareholders. But nonetheless, though, as far as shorts today, they are increasing 1.15 million shares. 32.96% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 120.26 million shares overall are being shorted. Shorts over the last week, they haven't really been doing all that much. So similar to big money, they are just waiting for SoundHound to put out their earnings just to get the green light to double down or potentially mitigate risk and start returning. So we'll have to wait and see what comes from that. And one thing that could also help the broader market is Trump. So Trump did state that there's going to be some big announcements associated to his Middle East trip, and also some big tariff updates and some deals coming either this week or next. And he's, on a side note, very active today talking about tariffs. And I think that was anticipated only because of this. So we did have the balance of trade coming out early this morning. It came in at -140.5 billion versus the forecast of -137.1 billion. This is for March, so the next report will be a key one to really watch for. But nonetheless, this definitely shows that so far the tariffs aren't really doing that big of a change. So we'll have to wait and see. But as anticipated, he is very active today on social media, kind of talking about tariffs left, right, and center. But even though SoundHound hasn't really put out that much in official news, they've been posting a lot on social media, and they're doing a lot of kind of fireside chats and kind of webinars, such as this one right here. So this one is slated for May the 14th. You also have this one May the 12th, and this one, which is I found very interesting because it is May the 8th. So the same day as their earnings and pretty much roughly the same time, they're doing this one. So this is that they're going to be diving into the 2025 Restaurant Technology Outlook Report in a upcoming webinar. So they're going to be having this at the same time as their earnings. So rather interesting timing. So I don't know if that was planned or whatever else, but definitely nonetheless should make for a very good talking point throughout their earnings. But just in case you did miss my video over the weekend, the current implied move for SoundHound is 11.55%, so roughly $1 move in either direction. So anticipate a lot of volatility. Looking at the options, 1.02 million in calls, 401,000 in puts. 62% of all the options being done today are optimistic and bullish in nature. So definitely good to see with the sea of red today in the market. You're not really seeing much optimism, so definitely positive to see that. Based on the bulls, you are seeing a consensus for it to be roughly around that $10.50 to $11 range, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly $8 to $8.50, of some pockets for it to be sub 7 on the side note. Aside from all of that though, with it at right now at $8.87, it is trading between this S1 and this S2, so 872 is going to be a strong support, and in fact it did bounce off of that as a low, so we do know going forward that's a strong support. Flip side, 898 is going to be that next strong target / resistance. So all in all, I think SoundHound should do fairly okay, but as I mentioned, it is all going to come down to future guidance and what they really bring up is coming next and what they anticipate. It'd be very positive on a side note if they were to come out and say, hey, I get the tariffs are affecting blah blah blah, but we're here because of this, and obviously the tariffs don't directly affect us. That would be probably best case scenario for them to really bring up. And then as well, they can kind of piggyback off of the recent news, Tencent and whatever, just say, hey, this is going to open up a lot of doors and opportunities for us that will hopefully allow some various revenue sources to come in. But let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? What's your general thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.